Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. This is episode 11 of Let's Talk Movie. This week is the Black Phone 2. So if you are here and you are trying to hear about no spoilers, get it gone. Get it gone. Because we're going into spoilers. And three, two, one. The grabber is dead. Dead. We'll have to wait and see. There could be a possibility of a third one. And the only reason I say that right now is because when I saw the first one, I felt I was pretty satisfied with the closure that was put in the first one. Like, I didn't think a sequel was going to be made. But then when I heard that a sequel was going to come out, I'll admit I was hesitant because I was like, I don't know. Like the first one was really good. I really loved it. Are you going to mess it up now? I was scared. But then I saw that the environment was changing. I said, oh, okay, this could be good. And then Ethan Hawke was coming out back as the grabber. I was like, At first, I thought it was going to be a prequel. But to see that Finney came back, now Finney's like 17. And to see his sister come back, I was like, oh, okay. So they're still keeping the story, which is great. And to know that the place that they went to had history, not just with Finney and Gwen, but with the grabber too, I was blown away. There's so much story here. So much story. And I felt like from the first film, they had already brought in so much. And to think that you still had more to expand on, I was blown away. I freaking loved it. This was okay. I have a theory, and it might not be the most popular theory, but hey, it's just a film. I'm just kidding. Different show. But I have a theory that there is at least one good horror film that comes out in the month of October. And I'm going to say that it's Black Phone 2 for 2025. Hands down. We still have, yes, another week. But ain't nothing coming out as good as that. So, that's that. Just kidding. It was nice to see Finney again. Because, like I said, I was hesitant to see how it was going to pan out. But then I heard that Finney was coming back and it was going to be a continuation. I said, oh, okay. So maybe it'll be like It Chapter 2. They'll be older and have like unfinished business. Thinking that they did away with it, the grabber came back. I was like, all right. And then I heard that Gwen was going to get a little bit of it. And I was like, oh, okay. Watch. She'll probably be more so the victim here. Finney will still have his troubles, but not as bad as Gwen. Sure enough, the spotlight is more on Gwen here. Not that that's a bad thing, and I think it worked really well for this story. It was what I expected. And I'm glad. I'm content. Fully satisfied with it. The only problem I felt like I had going into this movie was when I saw the trailers, I I had seen moments where in the dream sequences, the other people could not see what was happening. I was like, okay, this has been done before. But the way they weaved the dream realm with reality and the consequences that came from it, that was done very well. I I I couldn't complain about it at all because I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. I mess with it. I'm down. I'm down. You saw me. Arm twisted, legs folded. But the relationship between Finn and Gwen was really good. I think I said it in my review, their relationship really matters. It's really significant and it's really important. They really do love each other, like through and through. And of course they fight. I mean, everybody fights. Siblings, partners, parents, everybody fights. And I think the way they had it here was so organic. Like they genuinely gave the impression of brother and sister. So that adds so much to caring for the characters, caring for how the story's going to unfold, caring for what's going to happen, not just to the characters, but the characters surrounding them as it could be shaping circumstances, and then how they approach the grabber. I went to the drive-in with my lovely girlfriend, and I was so excited to see this, man. I think I spoke about it last week, but I was I was joyed to my bones to see it, and I finally did. I was like, oh yeah! Ethan Hawke is still goated with this performance, and I feel like in the last, let's say, 5, 10 years, I feel like Ethan Hawke has put some of his absolute best work. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion. Just think about it. Just think. Think about. I like to think about Moon Knight. Sinister is still like, I believe that's like a little later past 10 years, but like Sinister is still seen as like, I think they did recent studies. It's still seen as one of the top 5 most horrifying films. But like, I think to me, Ethan Hawke is really devoted to his characters. And I don't mean like method actor. I just think he remains very curious about his characters, which is always a good thing to have in acting. Always ask questions, always stay curious. Because when you lose curiosity of your character, you lose the character. Because if you think you know the character, you don't know the character. Until you like practically live as the character or try to physically embody the character in some way, shape, or form, you don't know the character. You have to ask questions. You have to find out and almost think like that individual, like that character, and put yourself in the situations like, okay, if I was at the gas station and Finney was in the bathroom, how am I going to get to the bathroom? Am I going to use the front door? Am I going to use the back door, side door, whatever? Am I going to wait till he gets out of the bathroom? What would the grabber do in that situation? Well, he's dead. So he can just teleport around. He can make Finney fall asleep and be like, hey, 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 ching, ching. You know what I mean? So the act of asking questions in film is especially important. Whether you're the viewer, whether you're the actor, whether you're the cameraman, director, whatever. Questions are especially important. Now, I really enjoyed also the redemption type arc that came from Gwen and Finney's dad, but also from Armando, who was at Alpine Lake or Lake Alpine, whatever. It's those two words. I just don't know if it's before or after. I think it's Lake Alpine, Alpine Lake, Alpine Lake. We'll go with Alpine Lake. So the both of them simultaneously enter these redemption arcs at the same ish time. So Finn and Gwen leave for Alpine Lake. And the number one thing that Finn tells his dad is like, can you do me a favor? Don't get drunk. I was like, oh. And that tells me right there that there's going to be an important payoff. Redemption. Then Finn and Gwen get to Finney and Gwen, huh? Finney and Gwen get to Alpine Lake, and then there's Armando, and Armando seems like he's going down a path of like just sorrow and pain. Through Gwen and Finn, he sees like, okay, there is more that I can do still. I still have a purpose here. I can still protect. I can still be of an impact. I can still make a difference. And that's exactly what he did here. And I felt like both of them redeemed themselves because of Gwen and Finn and this grabber situation. So it almost united all of them for this cause of taking down the grabber. Well freaking done, man. I loved it. Like, even the kills, the gore, it's out there. There's some that are like, whoa, but like, it doesn't overdo it. It's not too much. It's not like, what do they call it? Like, it's not like spine jarring. It doesn't like make you queasy. I think, like I said, the only problem I really had was that whole like not being able to see, but in the dreams, but there's consequences still that you see, kind of like Freddy Krueger. But the way they capitalized on that and blended it worked out. Now, what does that mean for a possible third installment? I have no idea, because probably by the time that another one comes out, Finn will probably be around like 21 or something. Or if they're just going to recast someone, make them a little older. But I feel like Mason Thames as Finn should stay. Madeline McGraw as Gwen should stay. I feel like if they've been around for this entire story so far, keep them in it. Make a trilogy, screw it. But have a definitive end. I felt like here, as the very first kills of the grabber took him down, I felt like that was enough closure for me. Like, what else do you possibly do in terms of closure? Because his victims from the house in the first one were put to rest. They were at peace. They got their get back. Grabber's dead. Now, for Black Phone 2, you have him in the ice with his very first victims at the camp. To me, what else does he need to pay/atone for? What else is really holding him on this plane where he would have unfinished business with, say, Gwen and or Finney? I think the Black Phone 2 is a definitive end, because the grabber has nothing now. Sure, Gwen and Finn are still alive. You could argue that. But if he's already coming into their dreams, being already dead, how do you propel forward from that? What other plane or what other shape or form does the grabber approach next with? That's the question. And to be quite honest, I have no idea. And I think now to the first one, where I had this same thought process. How are they going to make a sequel? Sure enough, they found something. They found a way, and it worked tremendously. I don't know what that means. Like, is the third one going to happen? Because of my content for this one, I want to say no. I want to say no. But the greedy bastard in myself also wants to say, well, I'm kind of okay. And I mean, look, sequels aren't for everybody. I understand that. At the same time, sequels can expand in the right areas. And I felt like this one did. And I'll tell you another reason why. So we find out approaching the third act, kind of like towards the tail end of the second, approaching the third, that the grabber is responsible for Finn and Gwen's mother's death. She did not commit suicide. She was murdered by the grabber and was made to look like a suicide. Because the grabber was a custodian, I think, or like equipment manager, some shit for the camp. So Gwen and Finn's mom was a camp counselor and he was a custodian. And he would do his first kills at this camp, Alpine Lake. And what happened was the grabber grabbed her and it was one of his very first kills as well, leaving Gwen and Finn without a mother. But the thing is, at the end, after they've already put away the grabber, after they're all yippee hooray, we got it all out, only thing left to do is leave. They get a call from that very same black phone. Gwen answers it. And guess who it is? Finn and Gwen's mother. I was like, what? We're getting full-blown closure here. What? So she's like, oh, like, I'm at peace. I'm okay now. It's beautiful here. You know, heaven. And she's like, I'm okay. I'm so proud of both of you. I love both of you. I have to go. So to me, I don't feel like a third one's going to happen. I feel like all the bows were tied. Hands are tied now. Can't do nothing. I mean, you could, because, you know, it's the horror universe, so realistically, anything can happen. But I'm going to say hopefully there's not a Black Phone 3. The greedy bastard in me would love one, but I just don't see a way that works. Put me in the creative bungalow, and then we'll see. But I really recommend going to the local theater, seeing Black Phone 2, coming back here and let me know what you think. Now remember, if you're on Patreon, patreon.com/Brandon Aries, you get this 3 days early. So you get to talk about it even earlier. And then you get to watch the movie watch-alongs. Because next week, if you get this, whatever. Next week is Halloween. And next week is also the end of our Conjuring watch-along. So after that, it's our spooky season end. We will have gone through all of the Conjuring films, including the most recent one that came out, Last Rites. I'm going to be doing that as a review, probably for Patreon first, but it will also be up on YouTube. So Patreon's going to get it first for a little bit, and then YouTube will have it as the Halloween special. I'm very excited for this because, you know, I had never seen any of those films except for maybe the first Conjuring. It's just never really movies that I gravitate towards, even as like a horror-ish kind of fan. Now, seeing it all for Patreon, I was like, now I'm hooked. I'm totally in. And now I'm seeing the last one with my buddy Jeff, and I'm like, seeing the whole thing come together. This is a finale. Like, this is supposed to be the last installment of the Ed and Lorraine Warren story. And I'm like, damn. Mind you, I'd just seen all these movies in like under a month. And I'm like, it's the end? Like, when you start a show that's already ended, and when you get to the actual end, you're like, dang, there's not another season coming out. Or you watch the movies that had their end. You're like, dang, there's not another movie coming out. You know who still does that? The people that watch the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield movies. I know I do that, especially for TASM 2, because I'm like, dang, you're telling me there's not another amazing Spider-Man after this? With Spider-Man 3, there is somewhat of an ending because Harry forgives Peter, Peter forgives Sandman, Mary Jane kind of forgives Peter. They're just kind of like, they're all they have, essentially. I mean, Aunt May, I guess, is pretty much chopped liver by the end of Spider-Man 3. She's like, oh, I'm back in my apartment. But I don't have that feeling for Black Phone 2. I don't have a feeling of like, dang, is there going to be a Black Phone 3? I don't want it. I'm good off this. I'm good. I'm good with what we got. And I feel like if you add more, you jeopardize it. Do we want to jeopardize it? Hell no. Because I will honestly say that I feel like the Grabber, aka the Black Phone series, as thriller, horror, however you want to slice it, will become this generation, at least one of this generation's iconic horror characters. So I'm already gonna label out this generation's Mount Rushmore of horror, starting with two people. Okay, the Grabber and Art the Clown. Who the other two will be, I have no idea. But we're still going. So we'll just have to wait and see. Today, as I'm recording, was the finale of The Boys Gen V, and that was an interesting finale. I guess I'll talk spoilers on here. If you haven't watched Gen V, spoilers 3, 2, 1. I guess there's not going to be a Gen V season 3 until the decision. Like, we have to see what happens at the end of season 5 for the boys, because I think not only that, but to see how many people enjoyed Gen V, though I've seen quite a mixed bag for season 2. I enjoyed it mainly because I enjoy the boys' writing. I enjoy the dialogue. I enjoy how it's all put out. But it's got a couple factors that aren't entirely up to us or them? Question mark? I think we have to wait and see until the end of season 5, which comes out next year. Next year's going to be stacked, people. The Avengers Doomsday, Spider-Man Brand New Day, Daredevil Born Again Season 2, I think X-Men 97 Season 2, a Punisher special, Fwickin' more stuff. But, oh, freaking Wolverine on PlayStation. Who? Speaking of which, right now I'm reading Red Band Punisher. I have it here on hand for if you're watching it on YouTube. But I love these, man. I love these sort of comics where you can kind of just show the graphic nature, like characters like Daredevil, Punisher, Moon Knight, Blade. You need the graphic, you need the gore, because that's kind of like one factor that kind of helps push these characters forward. But out of the comic talk, back into the movie talk. I want to see Roofman Roofman is on the list. I just added Until Dawn because that came out this year, but I did not watch it. So maybe I'll watch it on Patreon. Remember, patreon.com/Brandon Aries. And then I thought I added one more movie. Oh, my buddy Jeff, he wanted me to review I Know What You Did Last Summer. So that might just be like a quickie review that I'll talk about on here, Let's Talk Movie. Or I'll do like a little TikTok or something, whatever. Either way, I'm out. I'm around. I'm on the socials. TikTok. That's where you can find all the stuff talking about Peacemaker, The Boys Gen V, soon to be Welcome to Derry on HBO because that comes out this week. Well, if you're watching this on Monday, it's already out. Episode 1 is out. So I'm very excited for this. More Pennywise. Pennywise is good. And it's just in time for Halloween and to carry us over with that. Because I don't think all episodes are coming out at the same time, right? I think it's going to be week by week, like they did with Barry, like they did with Peacemaker, and probably now with Welcome to Derry. So I'm very excited for that. Remember, your boys on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter ish, and obviously YouTube, but also Spotify. And I'm still working on trying to get Apple Podcasts for you. So that way I don't have people feeling left behind. But I think that's going to do it for this week of Let's Talk Movie. I want to thank you all so much. If you stayed around this long, type in Polar, aka spelled Polar. But that's going to do it for this week. In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace.